Morning, everybody. Welcome once again to What's Going On at Revive the Heart Ministries podcast, episode 27. We are so pumped for this episode. So, our series of testimonies and sharing people's testimonies with you, unfortunately, has come to an end, but we do have an exciting episode planned for you today. As you can tell, we have a new face at the table. It's a face that YouTube has seen many, many, many times, but it's a new face to the table. We have Mr. Red Evans. So, before we get into anything, could you go ahead and introduce yourself a bit to the YouTube people for those that don't know who you are?
Sure. Well, as you all know, my name is Reynald Vance. That is Reynald Vance Mezier. And I am Haitian by nationality. And okay, I don't know what else to say, but basically, I am Reynald Vance Mezier. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Red Evans Museum. So, our very first, you have something to say? No. Oh, sorry. Our very first question for you tonight is, what brought you to Revive the Heart Ministries?
All right. What brought me to Revive That Ministries? I believe it was a vision. I believe I was in second form. Around those time, I used to play football, and Bray called me one day, and then he said to me that someone from somewhere, I believe in the States, gave him a call, and they had a vision concerning a young man that he knows. And it was, I believe he called myself and a friend of mine, Sherman, and then he asked that we would come one Sunday to Revive That Ministries for prayer. So that is the first day I came here. And yeah, so the first time I came, I loved it, of course, because at first, before Bray left the Greater Cornerstone Baptist Church, I always enjoyed the teaching from him. Because I'll be honest, normally, most times, about let's say 80% of the time, when it used to be preaching time, I would fall asleep, except for when he's teaching. So when he invited me, I was excited, and I came, and then yes, that is how it began.
Nice. So, YouTube, I forgot to tell you the theme for tonight or what tonight is about. I am so sorry. Tonight we're speaking of the building of RTHM. So, not the expansion, but the building. So, and Ren has been here from the beginning. Ren was one of the core builders of the building of RTHM. So, we're interviewing him to get his play-by-play of how the building came into fruition. I hope I'm picking the right words. So thank you so much for sharing your first day or your first experience and how you got here.
You're most welcome.
Yeah. So Ren, before we jump into this question, I just want to ask you, how did you get into the building of RTHM? I mean, you were very young. How old were you when you first came to RTHM?
I'd say, I can't remember exactly, but around 14, 15, around those ages.
Well, so you were really young,
Yes.
and we know that you have been a part of the building or the construction process since day one. So how in the world did you get into that?
Okay, well, before Revive That began, I believe from 12, 13, I used to come by Bray while he was building his building, and I used to come and help him build. So since Revive That began, and then the buildings that I already have some knowledge, so I just went right in it.
Okay.
So when the church first began building, did Bro A share with you a vision for what he wanted the building to look like one day?
Okay, if I would think back, I'd really get it, but I can't remember exactly. But I knew he shared visions, and like, for example, the extension, he shared with me of how the building is going. But to say back then, the vision he shared, I can't exactly remember to share, to be honest.
So you just jumped right in, like you weren't really thinking about what the end result will look like. You were just happy to be a part of the process.
Exactly.
Awesome.
I'm like someone who just go with the flow. We have something to do. When you tell me what to do and how to do it, well, sometimes I will have to figure out how to do it. But once you tell me what we are doing, I'll just go right into it.
Awesome. So I know this is a question that maybe a lot of people may have, but what was it like to be under the mentorship of Bro Abe, who was teaching you at the time how to do the construction things?
That's a very nice question. For most of the part, it was exciting. I mean, I love construction. Well, anything that have to do with tradesmanship, working with your hands, I love it. Whether masonry, electrician, plumbing, whatever it is, to with tradesmen, I love it. And that is how I end up working with him before revival started. Because whether it's the summer or after school, I would find myself there to help him because I love the work.
So was there ever any like hesitancy, especially okay, you're helping him to build and stuff maybe, but like when it comes to fully throwing yourself into building Revive the Heart Ministries, were you hesitant at all, or were you just like you were just happy to be there?
I was very happy actually, no hesitation. And the thing is, there's a kind of feeling, a nice feeling when you're around Bro A and let's say working, because it's not just working. Like let's say you're in a workplace, the boss man will tell you do this, do that, but Bro A would sometimes tell you, can you do this for me please, or the kind of vibes you get around him. And I mean, he was very straightforward and real with me as a man. I guess I'd have to go in that way, but yeah, so straightforward. And also, he would not see you as, let's say, hopeless or like you can't do it. Sometimes there are things I don't even know what exactly I'm supposed to do, but you tell me do it because I seen him do it before, and you expect me to find out how to do it, find a way to do it. So yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so now can you walk us through the timeline of the building process at RTHM? Like how did it start, how did it progress and get to where it is?
Okay. Well, in that aspect, I'll try my best. I know I might miss one or two things, but in the beginning of RTHM, we were actually in Miss Rachel's kitchen, living room area. That's where RTHM started. So yes, the first move we made to building RTHM, I believe, were the tents. If you ever watch RTHM structure, you'll see some metal poles. That is part of a tent that used to be there before. So that's the first thing. After, I think, some months after RTHM started, we bought tents, we hooked it up, we set it up, we built a wooden toilet at the back there, and also a kitchen. Well, the kitchen wasn't covered, I don't think so. So it was just the toilet, roof, and then the next side, we had our kitchen. And after the tent, because the tent material is not really a thing that would take rain, sun, and last. So after that, I can't remember exactly, but like a month after or sometime after, the covering started deteriorating, and because of that, we had to move to galvanized. So we built a galvanized roof, but since the frame is not like heavy duty, I mean we did fill them up with concrete, but it's not heavy duty, and because of so much material that is on the roof now, like it's plenty weight. Yeah, I mean if you watch RTHM from a distance, you think his nose up because you have, in the center have a little bow. But yes, because of the weight, what we did next is we started putting up blocks and column, so in order to support the weight of it. So we get the blocks running, and then we have blocks all at the back. We move from a wooden toilet to block, and we also build the kitchen at the same time. And also, when we came up here, the media booth was actually an area right there in the building. So as we moved along with the blocks, we also have built the booth. And after that, the next thing was preparing for altar Sunday, where we put up the stones. The altars was built, painted and everything. The windows, well, most of the windows came up, and yes. And after that, now we have our extension. We took quite a little time digging the foundation for the extension. But that is where we are at right now.
Okay, so can you just to deviate a little bit? Can you share, because you said a lot of things that happen, and I noticed that there are plants on top of the altar. Can you share a little bit about that part of the building?
Or the upstairs, the altar. Well, it was one of those times from Mount Denial where the time period where diets were being changed, and Bray decided to go into planting his own vegetables. So that is why we came with the idea of planting it with bud soil, so it won't have so much weed. And we decided to go on the roof with the plants, so it can get enough sunlight, and then we can control its environment. So that is why we see plants up there.
Okay. And another question, I'm so sorry, just to deviate again. Can you share with us one of your favorite parts of building the building? Like, was there a place that you will be helping to build that was really, okay, I like this, I can move with this?
I would say that's a very difficult question because once it's building, I'll just enter it. With the plaster in, block put in, I'll just put it in. But I believe one of those times I enjoyed the most was in the digging. Yes, the digging of the foundation for the where we are working at the time. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, my next question, to get to the actual question, did you face any challenges during the early stages of building the church? If so, can you share one with us?
All right. I wouldn't exactly say challenges, but because me, I love challenges, so I wouldn't know exactly when it's a challenge. You know what I mean? So, but maybe one thing I would say is one challenge I would have faced is when Bro would tell me to do something, but I don't exactly understand what he is asking me to do, and I'll just have to figure it out. He just give me a general idea of what I'm supposed to do, and I'd have to figure it out. So that would be the only challenge per se. Yeah.
I have a question on that actually. So you say RTHM started downstairs by Sister Rachel,
Yes.
and then there was the tent there. Was there any challenges faced with having a tent at that time?
Oh, yes, actually they were. Especially when it started to deteriorate. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is after we had the tents, we also, on the walls, we had plywood there to stop, because the walls could wrap up, so we also had plywood to keep rain from coming in. But one challenge we had though is the rain, because when you get plenty rain from at the back there, it would flood and come in, and at that time the floor wasn't leveled. So it seems like there was some place that was deeper, so when the rain falls, it will just flow, if you understand what I mean. So I think that would be the challenge I remember the most, is the rain, yes.
Because I remember the first time I came to RTHM, there was nothing at the back
Yeah, there was
there.
a plywood when I
Yeah.
came as well.
It wasn't even a plywood. When I first came to RTHM, I remember it was just an open space with just a bunch of blocks and sand that was there. I remember that the first time.
It's very interesting, especially because when we did our episode of, I think that was the 6-year anniversary, and we were able to share the different photos. It's very interesting to see where RTHM used to be and how it used to look in like 2021 to today. Like today, it's so we've made a lot of progress compared to when it was just a tent. There are photos up on YouTube of when RTHM did their first Christmas sleepover, and everyone slept on the floor in the rain because that was the time of the tent. So it was very interesting to see the process of it all.
Yeah. I think it's really important also that we do share with people like how far RTHM has come. Like, you know, maybe some people will come be like, why come in there? And it's like, listen, you could have come to somewhere much. Like, we have improved so much. Like, the building has come so far. Everybody has a different story of like how they met RTHM. Like even for the kitchen, I remember that when I first came for like a good year, 2 years, the pipe was like on the floor. The pipe to wash plates, and you have to like bend down over and stoop down to wash the little plates. So it's come far. It's come a really long way.
And even for me, when I came, it was the plywood. I didn't know it was like the obese. Like I had no idea what was at the back. There was plywood and a piece of cloth. The booth was half, so it wasn't the tall booth, and the walls wasn't painted. There were no stones. I came with just concrete slabs on either side.
Mid service, somebody would just disappear. There was
Into
like a door
sun
to
come.
another universe. Just
Yeah.
disappear into the abyss.
And I
Great for skates.
I remember there was once Brick had me at the back there, and I was like, "Oh, this is what is back there." And it was just tools and buckets, and I think it was cement as well.
Yeah, there was. Sorry, you two really go into story time, but again, the building has come like a really, really long way. I remember when I came as well, we have concrete and stuff, but outside was it a galvanized or was it wood that was there?
Like which area?
Like to come into the building, there was like just a piece
Oh,
of.
you're talking about the
slab.
bridge. It was a slab of concrete.
Yeah,
Before concrete, there was something else there.
Yes, before concrete, it was a wood. Yes.
Yes, I remember we had like a wooden walkway to come into the building. So it was just like was it a piece of plywood? Or like, yeah, it was just like it was just like a thick piece of wood.
Yeah, it was 2x4 on either side and a plywood on top of it.
And I remember I was like deathly afraid of heights at that time. It wasn't even really that high. But every time I would pass there, my hat would drop in my foot a little bit, just a little bit.
yeah.
It's also interesting because during that time, I mean, people were still coming. Like, people would still come. People would still show up, even when we only had the little plywood to walk, and if you made the wrong step, you'll fall down. Like, people would still show up. So I think, like, the building in itself has been a great filter for who really wants to serve God or who's just here for the glitz and the glamour.
Very much so.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember I am so sorry. I remember my very first time walking up. I was like, okay, this hike is never ending because it was going up and then coming back down, and then you have to walk up the walkway. I was like, oh, this isn't ending.
Yeah, my first time coming to RTHM, I was wearing like 6-inch heels, and nobody told me anything. I hopped down the vehicle, and I looked at the steps to climb up, and I was like, y'all couldn't have told me not to wear heels, and I struggled to climb that hill, but I reached, and I'm here. So,
So Ren, we know that there are a lot of people watching who will watch in the future who are interested and curious in terms of the terminologies and the processes of construction. We want you to nerd out for a second. Go as deep as you possibly can. Describe to us what are the skills that are required to build a building like this.
Oh wow. In terms of skills, I say you have to have a good understanding of how block or putting block works. That is, if you are building a block house, what can I say? Okay, the way is not coming to me. Let me use something else. Let's say what ratio of sand you have to mix with stone and cement. What ratio of sand and cement for mortar is best, or for a column, what is best for the concrete. And say if you are building, okay, let me take it slow. Okay, so let's say if you are building a beam, right? There's different lengths of beams. You have to know how much amount of steel you need for certain lengths. Like let's say if you are building a 10-foot beam, you can use four steels in there. But
Just,
if you,
sorry to disturb, but just a
Yeah.
question. What is a beam
Thank
and what is
you.
it used for?
okay, no problem. Okay, so as column is this you are seeing over there. It's actually what comes up from the foundation and it supports the building. So what you see that stands out from the wall, it looks bigger and thicker, and it stands up straight. That's a column. And what you see in similar size, but it runs horizontally, that's a beam. Yeah, so it have metal beam and you have concrete beam. So what we use is concrete beam, so we cast them. And based on the length of the beam, you have to be careful, because if you have a beam with a span of, let's say, 15 or more, then you have to have enough steel in there, like let's say a 6 steel is standard. But you can go more, like let's say 8 steel, like we are doing at RTHM, to be safer. Because what this steel does is hold tension. Concrete is very good in compression. So you have concrete, you use steel to reinforce it, because when there's heat and cold, the concrete will expand in heat and contrast in when it's cold. And what this steel does is reinforce it. And also when there's weight, you will never see it, but concrete actually bends. So when there's weight, it bends, and then when there's no weight, it comes back up. So the steel is very good at tension, holding tension, and it can bend. So that's why you use this steel to reinforce it. And the longer your span, the more your concrete will bend. So that's why you need to have more steel. Another thing, let's say you have to be very good at form working. Yes, because there are some, after you put up the blocks, you have to be able to form work it to get your columns and your beams. To support, to tie your block, because when you have a span of block, then you have a beam, a column on either side to tie it, and also your beam before you go and do your roof. And I wish you were a little more specific, but another skill set is in woodworking. We here at RTHM, we are doing everything. So yes, whether if it's the roof, you have to have roofing skills to know what angle to cut your wood for your rafters, what height to go, your fascia board, where it is going, how far from the wall it should go so the rain doesn't come back in. Another skill I would say is electrician. If you want a light in this area, and where you should put your switch, where is the allowed height, because you can't put a switch on the ground. But you can do that, but there has to be a specific switch, a water safe switch. Yeah. If you want your switch to be turning on from one point, and you can still control it on another point, that is called a two-way system. So electrical skills is very necessary. In order so we can flush our toilets or get water in the kitchen, we must be able to do plumbing to get water there. So that is another skill. Another skill, well, it's still in masonry, but let's say your foundation layout. So the distance you want, or the size you want your building, you want to know how to have your foundation, and according to what height also you are going. Because the higher you go, the bigger you want the stronger and bigger you want your foundation. Yes. For example, our foundation, the column is 10 by 10. So we have to go 2 feet on either side. So our footing is, I believe, 3 feet. 3 feet by 3 feet. And the depth or the thickness of the concrete is about 18 inches. So, even Jesus tells us, in order for our house to stand, we must have a good foundation. So, yes, and a good foundation is with good planning, good layout, to know if you want your column on that point, and let's say you have a slope, you need to know where exactly to dig in that slope. So when it comes up, it comes exactly where you want it. That is all I can think of right now. And woodwork, let's say you build in your cupboards. Building your cupboards, you need to have woodwork skills, I would say. And let's say in setting up, like for your computers, and where you want your switches to be, that falls under electrician also, so I won't go there again.
Lovely. I'm so sorry, but I want to say something, not even ask a question. I find it so amazing because during teachings, Bro will share a testimony that when he was building his home, he had absolutely no knowledge of building home. He just heard, go build. home and he started building. And now to look at the progression that a man that had absolutely no knowledge, God taught him everything, and now he can pass it on to, because RTHM men build RTHM. Even now, they are still building RTHM. They do everything. So if there's a plumbing issue, they are required to fix it. If there's an electric issue, they are required to fix it. If media has an issue, they are required to fix it. If there's anything that is going on with RTHM does it. There is nobody that could. The most I think we ask for help is to carry, not even to carry the stuff up here, but when we get cement and stone and all of that, and they deliver it. Outside of that, once they deliver it, RTHM takes over. So it's so amazing to see that Bray had absolutely no idea what to do. God taught him everything, and he's able to teach it to other generations like Ren, and now Prof even learning as well, because Prof is always with Ren. Jarrell, Brucey, everyone is learning because of the skills that God gave Bro A. I find it incredible.
So I have a question. As you mentioned the beams and the foundation and all of the things, how long did it take for you all from the foundation to setting up the columns?
Okay, if we are talking about this section, well, from foundation, if we are talking about the foundation, we have to go about downstairs, and it took it was Bro A by himself when he was building Miss Rachel's home. It took him, I believe, 1 full year to dig the foundation and to cast it. And I can't remember exactly how long it took him to finish building the house, but the columns upstairs, I still don't remember how long it took, but I believe it was in the second year. The second year of RTHM, we got the columns up, the blocks, the columns, and yeah. But to say the exact time it took us, I cannot really say. But building columns is something that goes really quick. After you have your block, you just box it and cast. That can happen in one day.
Okay.
Okay, so with building a building like RTHM, something this massive, I can imagine that the physical labor is like intense, that it really takes a toll on the body. What was it like, or not, let me not say was, because the building is still going on. What is it like physically on the body, building this level of building?
Alright, how is it physically? Unfortunately, when I am working at RTHM, I doesn't really feel tired, but it is strenuous.
You say unfortunate?
Yes, not unfortunate, or is it fortunate? But anyways, when we are working at RTHM, it is God who gives us strength. So at the moment, we don't really feel the strain, we don't feel the pain. I mean, we feel the weight of, if we carrying or lifting something, we feel the weight. But God gives us strength to do it. Maybe afterwards, in next day, we might feel a little sore. But God gives us the strength to do it. But one thing I can say, it is hard work. I will not deny that. But at the moment when we are working together amongst ourselves, and the fellowship that goes on, we don't really feel stress or anything like that. But it is hard work, to be honest.
Understandable.
Yeah, I can imagine, because sometimes when everybody goes home at like 3 o'clock in the morning, they're there doing something. Under the rain, they're working. Thunderstorm, they're working. When was it? Well, yeah, they're working. Even if you watch RTHM and you see the wall, what would you call it? The thingy, the stony things, mold things.
Concrete stones, right?
Yeah, even the concrete stone, they made all of those by themselves. So it wasn't like it just came packaged and like, hey, look, stones. They made it, and I remember it was during the time of building the altar, and I was helping to do some stuff at the back, and Bro A would come here, and would literally sit down and have he has a pattern for the stones, and for hours just sit down matching stones. And after he matched them, would then have to take his finger and like clean up in between, make it smooth, make it like, I remember him having stones stuck in his finger just from having to do all of that. So yeah, building RTHM takes a lot of hard work. Like after you did bend down for so long, like it takes a toll on the back. Your fingers are like eaten up. Like it's not for the weak. It really is God giving them strength.
And just to deviate from the physical, the mental, it's a lot of thinking. Like when Bray taught and he said you have to imagine, see the vision, and then you create. I remember he was sharing when the altar was building with the stones, he was saying everything with RTHM. God is the one who says, do it this way. And he was saying it took him months to figure out how the stones was going to be, because he had to look at molds, figure out how he wanted the molds to be, order the molds, and he was like, he had the molds there for so long before he actually started making, like, casting the stones and everything to put it up. And it took them a while. I remember I would come and one wall would be done, and then I'd come and then some of the stones on the other wall would be gone.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but it's not actually a whole wall. One section of the wall.
Yeah, that's what I mean. One section of the wall, and then I would come back and I would see stones missing from that section. And when I come back, okay, it's a different way. So it was a lot of thinking, a lot of planning, a lot of imagining, creating, actually doing it. It's a lot of work. Soren, my next question for you is, as a young person, what motivated you to serve at church rather than just attending?
I mean, I don't mean to put let's say, a stigma on young men, but the way I was brought up, I mean, from young, whether after school, summertime, around Christmas time, holiday time, I was always very working. So that carried out. Whenever I see work, and I mean I love the work, whenever I see it, I am motivated to do it. I want to do it. So that was my main motivation. And after hearing the teaching of what you do for God's house, it is actually for God you are doing it. When you are doing it, you are serving His children, making sure they are comfortable, and so they can worship Him with all their heart. That gave me even more motivation. And knowing that God is not a debtor of any man, that He will repay you for your hard work. So that even add up to your motivation besides me loving the work. Yeah.
I'm reminded of the story of Samuel, Prophet Samuel, when the Lord visited Prophet Samuel when he was a child, and it was in the midst of him working in the temple, helping the priest build and take care of God's house. And that is what you're doing today. You are helping Bro A, you're helping create, or not create, but push forth the kingdom of God in Dominica by building this place. So with that being said, how has serving changed you as a young man, and how has building God's house made you the person that you are today? What are the lessons that you've learned from endeavoring in this process?
Okay. Well, serving has taught me a lot, especially in building the house of God. One very big lesson I learned from Bro A is that there's a time to play and there's a time to work. He told me that in my early days, like 13, 14, when I was really into playing. He told me there's a time to play and there's a time to work. So that has made me who I am today. That when it's time to work, I put all my attention in work so I can do it. I don't go into playing. And I mean my skill set, it is through serving, by serving, that I have acquired all these skills. It is because each work that Bro is doing, I got involved in it, in trying my best to steal from him the knowledge that he has in all aspects of tradesmanship. And I mean, used to be listening to some sermons, and I used to pay attention to it. And something I would say that is part of getting from serving, because since I am there, I hear what he hears. So one thing I heard is that there are different ways you can learn. You can learn from your experience, that you go through something, so now you know how it happens, what to do if that ever happens again. Or you can learn from someone else's experience. Yes. And one thing I learned from someone else's experience is when I was doing the roof. Bray gave me the task of punching holes in the roof. And when I was busy in doing it, Bray ended up unscrewing the last screw on a galvanized. And the next thing I heard is a boom. And me thinking maybe Bray slide a galvanized down and it fell. After a while completing my work, because I'm focused on my work, when I look around, I don't see the Bray. I look for a good while, I don't see them until I look down. And there he is on the galvanized laughing at me. Yeah, that was funny. So what that taught me is that to be careful of your surroundings. Pay attention to your surroundings. I mean, if you had noticed that was the last screw, I sure he wouldn't have unscrewed it, because you know it will slide in. And also, if I had noticed or observed, at least to look when I saw the galvanized fall, then I would see if he was under it, and if anything I could have helped him. So yes. And another thing, serving has helped me in that many of my friends, because of how Bray helped me and taught me to live as a young man, I didn't go easily following friends. I didn't go easily into the activities. I mean, I love sports very much, but in serving and helping, I learned that there's a time I should not be among them and separate myself. It is while serving I get to know that. So I don't really play sports. Well, I don't play sports with friends anymore. So yeah, and I mean the job I'm working right now is construction. I do plumbing, electrician, everything I have learned through serving. So renovance, right now is renovance through serving, because of serving. I mean, you have the testimonies of me saying I am strong. It is Bro A that caused me to be saying those things sometimes. Because strenuous activities where others would say, don't do that, you strain yourself. Bro, you just watch me. He even used to call me rhinoceros. You know? And yeah, he'd motivate me. I mean, those two big stones you see there at the back in the altar, it was actually myself and Prof who brought them from downhill all the way back there. Yes, that serving has taught me, if I believe it, that it is possible. And some people say these things blindly, that where there's a will, there's a way. But I learned that where there's a will, there's a way. If I am willing to find out that way, I'll find it. So that through serving, I get certain mentalities. I mean, as I said earlier on, Bray will tell me do this and that, and expect me to get it done. So that has taught me to, I won't say dependent, but try my best to get it done. Try to think for myself. I mean, I was very good at following orders. I think I'm still good at following orders. If you tell me what exactly to do, I'll do it. But during serving, it had also taught me that if I want to get to point A, you don't need somebody to tell you exactly what to do. But you can figure it out on your own. Figure out how to do it. Yes. And that also taught me, I mean, I learned that a little slower, because if you give me a task to do on my own, it will take me more time than if you tell me exactly what to do. So through serving, I mean, Bray is very strict. Yes. It's not that he's strict, but he's strict, if you understand what I mean.
I understand.
Right. And there was a time we were casting something, and I had to do something. I didn't know exactly what to do. He tell me to do something, but I don't know how exactly to do it. I didn't understand really. But he expect me to understand it because I've been doing this for many times. And yeah, some yelling happened, and then that boy I learned that night, just do something. Because I would try to imagine it in my head how I should do it, try to figure it out. But what I learned is do something, take one step at a time to achieving your goals. Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay, so Ren, there are a lot of men, young men, who attend church and it's simply they go to church and that's it. It's, well, young men and women alike. And they're afraid to get their hands dirty, for lack of better words. They're afraid to really get into the building of the church and say that physically and figuratively, getting into different ministries. What would you say to a young person who is hesitant to enter into ministry? Maybe they think they don't want to waste their life, they're young still, they're too young to serve right now. What would you say to that person?
Okay, what could I say? If you look at the bigger picture, you realize it's for your own good. When you are serving in God's house, you are not doing it for the pastor, you are not doing it for the deacon, you are not doing it for the elder or for anyone. You are doing it for God. Or if you want to think of it as you're doing it for someone, think of it as you are doing it for God's children. And if you can think of it like that, you would realize that God has a reward for you. And who say you are wasting your life if you get your hands dirty? Yeah, when you get your hands dirty, you learn. You learn, let's say, if you put your hand there, you know it, you can get a scratch, so you'll not put your hand there in times to come. But if you do this, you see a good result. So don't be discouraged. As a matter of fact, don't hesitate. I mean, it's true. I am fortunate to have been on the Brace arm because it takes charge in helping you. But others might be in a place where they don't, like let's say, despise the youth because of their youth. But don't be discouraged. Just go for it. Think of it as you doing it for God. And God's house is not man's house. Even if they try to make it seem like let's say belittle you, but push for it. Make your push be what that drives them away from despising you, because you are working for God.
That's awesome. And something that Bert A is always saying is that the greatest ministry is not worship leading or preaching and teaching or having a microphone. The greatest ministry is taking care of God's building, His temple. And that is something that we see in Scripture that has been steadfast, especially when we see when God gave the command to build His temple, that He no longer wanted to just be in a little ark. He wanted a house, a home where He could dwell. And it was beautiful. Like Solomon, the temple Solomon built was beautiful, the most beautiful building that you can imagine. And God wanted that. And so if we talk about the physical building, we would do a disservice to not talk about the spiritual element that is God's temple. It's precious, it's sacred, and Ren, you're a part of that ministry to really take care and upkeep what God views as such value in His sight. Yeah.
Well, so Ren, we have covered a lot. Like you have spoken of the different progression, you've spoken of what you have learned, you've spoken about a lot of things. But can you tell us one of your favorite memories from building, the actual building?
I would say all is my favorite. But I remember one moment we were in the kitchen, and that is the first time I did electrical by myself per se. It was to run a wire from the kitchen to the booth. It was a 110 wire, and Bro A went downstairs to do something. So I had to bend the pipe for myself, run the wire for it, and then connect it. So that is one of my favorite. That is when I really got into what is it word? I can't remember it, But I knew surface electricals where you could just nail your wire on the wall and then connect it. But on the surface, where you have to bend the pipe and do all that. So that was very exciting for me. Yeah, and also I'd say building the roof. Uh, I am somebody who loves height, likes height. So while building the roof, I like being on the roof. So that is one part I'd like also in building. Yeah.
Awesome. So, looking back at all of these moments that we just described and talked about, what moment made you realize that all the hard work and sacrifices that you made were worth it?
Oh, what moment? I don't know. I'm someone who finds joy when, let's say, your work is appreciated. There are sometimes Bray would come and let's say he speaks on the progress of the building and he applauds everyone who, not that I'm looking for recognition or anything, but applauds those who do it, and he gives an encouragement of how your work is benefiting God's children and God's love that. And also knowing the fact that I know that God is a rewarder, he rewards me because I'm working for him, that also encouraged me. I feel that it is very rewarding to do it because when God's children is comfortable and you see more smiles. I mean, they say I smile in plenty and they say I have different smiles. But when your work is appreciated, and yeah, I'm someone who is drawn to helping. If you ask me for help, I like to help. So the fact that building is helping, yes, it encourages me.
Awesome.
No, I just wanted to say something. I get not that we're looking for recognition, but it's like a fulfillment feeling. So I understand what you're trying to say. It's like a fulfilling feeling that when Bori comes up and he's like, I would like to thank, like, okay, for example, I remember when they were carrying the new stove for the bakery, and Bori was like, I want to thank all the strong men at, at RTHM who help us, and even the strong women who help us carry the stove into the place. And he was like, Mama Rona, everybody getting soda. So I understand the feeling, not that you want it, but it makes you feel like, yes, I am doing something great.
You know, it's interesting too. A lot of people would look at the work that you do and say, me, I'm not doing that for no pay. Like, you're not paying me. But just the fact that you said that God rewards you, and that reward is greater than any reward that you can get in this earth. Yeah. Can you talk about that just a little bit, that reward? Because maybe some people are curious as to what is the reward of God for doing such work.
I mean, God said, he said, if you give up anything for his sake, I mean, when you are building, you are giving up, so let's say your rest, your sleep, maybe you could be making money somewhere, but God said he will reward you in this life and the life to come. And he didn't even stop there, he said 100-fold. So the reward that God gives you, it adds to your health. You're always provided for. You're always strong. I am always strong. I mean, sometimes we do work for, let's say, the whole night, and you'd expect to have cramp or something, but even if it's 4-5 hours of sleep, every time I wake up I don't have cramp. I'm very strong. So I mean, that is a reward, good health. I can't remember exactly, but I only have one memory of when I was really sick, and that sickness even led me to do not to do what I really love to do, which is eat food. But yes, so I mean, that was a serious sickness. But the reward, let's go back. The reward that God is giving you, good health, I mean, opportunities, you will be opportunities. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Building RTHM is it really is tough work, and it really takes the grace of God to do so. I don't believe even if people that be like that they have their own construction company, like imagine you have to be there just you and like one other person sometimes, you alone doing something. Like it really takes the grace of God to be able to then go up. Because understand these men, they have jobs in the day, they have things to do, they have families, some of them have wives, and it really takes mental strength and the grace of God to be able to, let's say, work up all night, then get up to the next morning at whatever time to pray and meditate, then go to work. Like it takes great strength. So Ren, what encouragement would you give to a person just entering RTHM? Now there are possibly like new people coming in. Not everybody is involved in ministry. What is one thing that you would say to somebody just coming in? Maybe they're watching the podcast right now, hearing about serving. They've seen all of our Sunday ads about the different ministries at RTHM. What would you say to that person?
Okay. What would I say? So okay. Alright, sorry for freezing up, but what did I say to you is that what you are doing is bringing help to God's children. Let's say there's a saying that where there are many hands, the work is light. You are relieving someone or a brother, sister, and also the fellowship you get while working with a brother or sister. It can lead to salvation in that. Let's say you're going through a situation and you come helping, and then boom, you get a word and encouragement from someone. And that has happened to me before. In that while working, bro would tell me something, and let's say I was going through a certain situation, and when I connect the dots, I see it falls along with that situation. So it's encouraging working together. I mean, to say you are working and no pay, you are working while others resting, that is a more honor to me, because I mean, Jesus said concerning the servant who will say, I am only just an unprofitable servant. And I see that because I would think, but am I not bringing profit to my master? So I am an unprofitable servant to myself, but bring profit to my master. And if serving Jesus is what you want to do, then the best place to start is serving his house. Like the prophet Samuel, God will not call someone who's just coming to church and just going along. If you are not serving, he will not see you working. So he's not going and pray, use me Lord lest I die, because you will surely die. What you should do is find yourself doing something for God. I mean, let's take it for ourselves. If someone is doing something for us, we want to help them. We want to do something for them in whatever capacity that we can. And that's the same thing that God operates. As you are working for him, he's working for you. As you are, let's say, you're giving up things for him, he will make things give up for you. As you are climbing for him, he will make things climb for you. So your time is not being wasted. I would say, a give up and take. You are giving up something, and God is giving you something, so you are taking something. So it's not a waste of time. God is rewarding you one way or the other. You might not, actually, sometimes you will not see it right away, but God is opening a door. He's doing something special for you. So that is what I would say to you. Don't hesitate, don't be afraid to serve God in building or taking care of his house, I would say. Because building is taking care of his house. Whatever you do around his house is taking care of his house. And of course that makes his children comfortable. And the Lord said, whatever you do to the least of these, you do unto me. So you helping work, relieving the load for someone is you are relieving the work on Jesus Christ. You, let's say, carrying up stones to build his house is carrying up stones for Jesus Christ. So if you just look at it as you are doing it for God, you are doing it for the one, let's say he owns the cattle upon 1,000 hills. So if you are doing it for him, he will want to reward you. So give him an excuse to reward you, I will say. That's the best way I can put it. Give him, he's looking for an excuse to reward you. So give him an excuse like doing work in his house. Yes.
Amen.
Very well said. Yeah. So don't be afraid to serve in the house of God, guys. It's not the end of the world. You're not going to lose, as he said. There is a reward waiting for you. More than the payment is better than any physical money or riches of this world that you can obtain. The reward that God has for those who serve him is much, much greater than any of that. So YouTube, we are coming to an end tonight. No, it doesn't feel like an hour, but it is. So we just want to thank you, Ren, for coming on.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking up the time to let us interview you to talk about the building of RTHM, because people really need to get an insight into just how this great building came about. Because as Bray said, nobody had construction knowledge. It was Jesus and a dream. So it really was great hearing your testimony of just how RTHM came to be what it is today. So thank you very much.
It was my pleasure.
Yes. We say thank you to those of you who have watched episode 27 of What's Going On at Revive the Heart Ministries. We say good morning to you all. Ivana Greenaway says good morning, beautiful people. Hope you all had a wonderful day. Did you guys have a wonderful day?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Okay, we hope you had a wonderful day as well, Sister Ivana. Mama Rona says good morning, blessings to you all. Blessings to you as well. We hope you have a pleasant night's rest, Mama Rona. And Sister Sylvia says good morning. We say good morning to you too. So we say good morning to you all. You are all blessed in the name of Jesus. And also, yes, Jara has reminded me, next week we will be moving from 7 o'clock p.m. to 6 p.m. So it's an hour earlier. So next week, episode 28, will begin at 6 o'clock p.m. sharp. So we will see you there. Thank you for watching once again, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Revive the Heart Ministries. Join us this Tuesday for prayer at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Lord, for revealing deep and sacred things.
Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the What's Going On at Revive the Heart Ministries podcast.
Us going on the mountain was really an intercession on behalf of our community.
On Friday at 7 p.m., comment your testimony for Thank God It's Saturday. Come back next Sunday at 8 a.m. for the Alive Word Ministry.
Laugh. When it seems like there is no reason to laugh, that's the time to laugh.
Join us on Sunday night for preparation time at 6 p.m.
This is how we should love, to give our last, even unto the point of death.
Starting on the first Friday in June, Thank God It's Saturday will move from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. Likewise, on the first Tuesday in July, prayer will move from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. See you there. Good morning to you, in Jesus' name.